All right, folks. Well, that did the trick. Welcome back to Virtual Auto Sports here live on Twitch TV. Yes, we are in the lobby and ready to go, and we haven't missed a single thing. Even better, right? Haven't missed a single thing. We're going to get right into the action here. As a matter of fact, Slow Motion Fire has not yet even launched it. There is 2 spots available on the grid. We'll see if maybe that fills up here this evening. And Slow Motion Fire telling me that here we go. And sure enough, 3 laps of qualifying out here at the very short East Circuit of Long Beach. So this will not take much time at all to set qualifying laps. It will maybe take, what, 4-5 minutes? If that. It's going to go by quickly as we load up, and it appears we've got the sunset skybox, so things are going to look a little dark. A lot of shadows here in the road course, the street course that is Long Beach. Slow Motion Fire will be the first off the line, followed by RZM McQueen. We will flash back to the standings here after qualifying has concluded. We see Slow Motion Fire, and you got to look out for those cones. During the race, all of those are going to get punted out of the way, and you better believe drivers will be grabbing that extra space there, as I think they've given them the ability to do so, that they can make the most use out of all the driving surface here. So qualifying, you want to stay within track limits, set your best lap time to put you further up in the grid order, but then come race, they loosen up the restrictions a little bit and allow you to have some more breathing room out there on the track. 22 cars here in qualifying for race number 1 of the evening. Slow Motion Fire is going to be the first one to bring it back toward the start-finish line. We'll throw those race stats there in the bottom left, and yeah, we still got drivers who are launching from the start line at this point. So they are going to be on their first lap, their standing start, while Slow Motion Fire and company begin their first flying lap. And here he comes with Jacob T. Boed right behind him, and RZM McQueen, who is one of the 2 drivers who's making a debut here in Season 35 of the Forza Spec Racing Series, and finds himself currently running in 4th position overall in the leaderboard, or on the leaderboard. And as a matter of fact, you could even argue 3rd position, currently tied with Cratrim. They each share 90 points apiece. Kuda93 there in the pit lane saying time to qualify. Pride Ceratop says we're back. Yeah, we're back. We made it back, and I'm glad that there were no connection issues once I restarted. That's always the worst case scenario. You know, you say let's reboot things and we'll be okay, and then you try that and it doesn't work, and then you're kind of SOL. It did work this go around. Here comes DUR Carryout in the VW Scirocco, and we'll take a look at the vehicle performance here at the conclusion of the qualifying session. So drivers, don't worry, we won't have any driver spotlight interviews between the qualifying and the start of the race out here at Long Beach, but we will do a look at the leaderboard. We'll take a look at the vehicle performance and one little glance at the schedule, and that should take us up to the start of the race. Here comes DUR Carryout, currently with the 4th quickest time. Carryout sitting 7th overall on the leaderboard, just behind Fear the Fun. And by just behind, I mean 9 points behind Fear the Fun. Fear the Fun with 83 in 6th position to Carryout's 74. And here comes Carryout. You see Audrex there in the background. Across the line, AMS Udakan right now with the top time of a 55.075 at 144 miles per hour. And that'll do it for much of the pack here. We've got the stragglers, the remaining bunch, and I don't mean stragglers because they're slow. It's just because they started the qualifying session a little bit behind. They have a staggered start to allow everybody to kind of have a clearer visibility out in front of them. Obviously, you're still going to have some silhouettes, some ghosted cars to deal with, particularly on a small track like this. But if all 22 cars were to go at once, that would be uber chaotic. There you go, Raccoon finishing up qualifying. Same goes for Jacob, Beer 98. And sorry for that weird start. It's just one of those. It's just one of those things where all my Xbox Live services can be working just fine one day, and then I come here to broadcast, and I only assume, because I haven't changed anything, that everything will be okay. And well, I guess you know what they say about assumptions. So what can you do? What can you do? There's a look at our standings entering week number 3. And again, as I mentioned before we had to cut the cast off, is that we will have our first race of the evening be the back half, or the last race of the first half of Season 35. And then our second race here this evening out at Suzuka West will be the start of the second half of Season number 35. AMS Storm, AMS Udakan, the two AMS drivers, 1 and 2, with Kratrium. Very familiar spot there for Kratrium. Quite often finds himself running 3rd overall on the leaderboard, and that's where he is indeed. Again, sharing that spot, if we were to represent that here on the graphic, with RZ and McQueen. They're part of Rise Motorsports with 90 points. And SVR Blackout is the other of the two drivers who made an appearance here in season number 35, currently at 86 points. And in 5th, then it's Fear the Fun, DOR Carryout, Slipstream, IPR Wolf, Audrex, both with 64 points apiece. 58 for Born is Ghost, Mortismo at 56. Same can be said for Jacob. Unku. Unku actually also showing up for the first time here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, or at least here in Season 35, and possibly had been a part of the action several years back. I feel like there was one of those drivers here this season who had previously run with FM4 and then is returning after a little bit of a hiatus. Soul Motion Fire, Chaos Fox, and Corvid, the two SGR drivers there, 16th and 17th. Fotang, Barney, Gotta Go Fast, Cuda 93, Fox Jason D, Modern Weapon, Beer 98G, and there's a couple of other drivers there that just don't make the list of 24. A lot of people are having the same problem, says Dino Dado. Yeah, I think maybe it's something where if you get a Windows update, for whatever reason, it temporarily changes your NAT type settings, at least for the Xbox Live services, and then once you reboot your console, or not your console, your computer, and then subsequently the or I guess concurrently the not concurrently, but at the same time you reboot the router, and that helps reset everything back to where it should be. Back to where it should be. All right, so those are the standings right now, and then I promised you the schedule. So there you go, as we take a quick glance to the rear view mirror there to find week 1 and 2 out at Homestead, Mount Panorama, Bathurst, Lime Rock, Silverstone, and now here tonight, Long Beach East, Suzuka West, 33 and 21 laps respectively. And then August the 11th for week number 4, Mugello and Test Track Full. I will not be able to broadcast next Tuesday. I will be celebrating the birthday of my daughter, and I wouldn't miss it for the world, so that includes FM4. So maybe somebody will have a driver perspective. One of our drivers will be broadcasting their viewpoint or vantage point. And then I will be back for week number 5 there on August 18th for the Dubai City Reverse event, the grand finale, the capstone here in this season. And so will it be AMS Storm or Udakan or Kratrium or McQueen or Carryout or who else? SVR Blackout. Enraged Barney says, I guess I've missed the race. No, you just qualifying. Qualifying has just concluded. And Slow Motion Fire is setting things up. And as a matter of fact, we can jump back over there and take a look at those post-race results. With McQueen at a 55.310. 56 for Slow. Same for Joe. DOR Carryout with a 55.974. Audrex with a 56.159. Storm there with a 55.155. That'll be just short of AMS Udakan's qualifying time, which we'll see just a little bit down below. Born as Ghost at a 56.199, 55.570 for Fear the Fun. Slipstream with a 56.272, Unku with a 56.332. Track Wolf, so going from IPR Wolf to Track, I'll have to make that change on the leaderboard at 56.426. Brazos at a 58.246. Fox Jason D with a 57.708. There's AMS Unicon with that 55.637. And so AMS Storm actually picked up the quick time. Fear the Fun will be on row number 1 with Storm. So Unicon will fall back to row 2. I'm taking a look at all the other scores because then you got Track Wolf, who has a 426. But that's no good to AMS Unicon's 55. Yep. Unicon should be on row number 2. They're sharing space maybe with Cratrium at a 55.586. Mortizbo with a 56.55 for Blackout, 311. So never mind. AMS Unicon is going to fall back to row 3. Jacob T. BOED at 57. Also for Cuda 93. AP1 Raccoon with a 57. And Beer 98G with a 101.340. And it appears almost all the drivers have readied up. Just looking for carryout to complete that. Looks like getting the vehicle loaded in. So maybe having... Oh, has dropped out once again. Hopefully carryout's not having any lobby issues. As high up on the overall leaderboard as carryout is, we'd hate to see somebody fall back on the standings because of a disconnect or connection issues. Carryout, however, still has the drop week rule in effect. The one driver here on the top 8, that left column, who cannot afford another drop week is RZM McQueen. RZM McQueen actually took part in week number 1 festivities, was unable to finish race number 1, so picked up just 3 points for participation, 0 points, a goose egg for race number 2. So McQueen, from here on out, needs to be on point. Slow says, no worries. I've got time. I'm in no rush. Corn on the Con, thank you so much for the follow yesterday. I appreciate that. And welcome to everybody who's here this evening. Hopefully you're having a great start to the week. Yet another crazy event here today. There's no point in saying, well, that's just 2020 for you. I mean, this is just a very stupid incident that should have never happened. Speaking to that of the explosion there in Beirut, and unfortunately those numbers are going to keep ticking higher before they stop, and so it looks like they're on a full call solicitation for support out there. If you are in the area and you're able to give blood, they're certainly asking for that. It's just a crazy day. Hopefully here we can etch out a little bit of time on your Tuesday to relieve your mind of the craziness outside the world. That's not to say that we completely block it all out, but at least take a moment to enjoy ourselves and enjoy the racing that we've got here tonight. Pride Ceratops saying, waiting to hear from my partner's parents over there. Yeah, and wishing them the best. Wishing that folks are able to reconnect with loved ones and family sooner rather than later. All right, here we go. We've got the 22 drivers lined up on the grid. It is AMS Storm on the pole position with RZM McQueen. Kick the tires and light the fires, folks. It is week number 3 of Forza Spec Racing Series here live on Twitch TV. And AMS Storm's going to lead them into turn number, I'm going to call it turn 2, because really that first corner there past the start-finish line is a corner in and of itself. And there they go, barreling through the cones as expected. McQueen still back in second position. Who's going to make the mistake here into the right-hander of what would be turn number 8 if we were running the full Long Beach circuit? We are not, and now we look down the street here, and the street name escapes me at this point. But we have the cars barreling toward us there into the right-hander. Then you make the left, and then it's toward the little hairpin, back toward the start-finish line. And just like that, lap number 1 is going to come to a close. We'll begin lap number 2. AMS Storm continues to be out front. McQueen in second. Blackout in third. Audrex is fourth. Fear the Fun in fifth. Born as Ghost in sixth. Track Wolf in seventh. Unku in eighth. And oh no, we've got the loading screen. Hopefully we've got everybody still out there on the track. Here comes McQueen to the inside line there of AMS Storm. And actually, they're going to go 3 wide. And we got all kinds of, yep, we're going to restart this race is what's going to happen. Restart. What's up there, Scottson? Good to see you. Welcome back. Hope you're doing well. All right, so we will reattempt that start. AMS Storm probably thinking, come on, guys. Come on, y'all. He had pole out of qualifying. And coming through lap number 1 to begin lap 2 was still out in front. Carryout, Drivatar is wrecking. Ah, okay. There was an issue with Carryout's car causing havoc after he was dropped. So Carryout having, and I don't want to, I'm not going to call it the commentator's curse yet. I mean, it appeared he was having those issues before I started talking about it, but not able to get into the lobby and stay in the lobby. And I don't know where Carryout is located, but obviously here stateside, we've got that, I don't want to say massive storm, but obviously anytime we got a tropical weather event, it can cause some havoc, and that's exactly what we have on the East Coast. So I'm not sure if that is related there for Carryout. Hopefully not the case. Sober David with the subscription. Tier 1, 3 months. Here to go support. Might be lurking a bit, but I'll be here. Thank you so much there, Sober David. And by all means, put it into lurk mode if you need to, or if you want to. Even if you don't need to, you just want to. Thank you, thank you. We'll go back here since the lobby screen is not too informative for you all. There is a look at our standings entering week number 3. This is assuming that one of the first 2 weeks is the drop week for all of our drivers. Now, of course, as we go throughout the remainder of the season, that'll continue to be adjusted here on the leaderboard, accounting for the drivers and their worst week. And not until we get to week 5, which is double the points, will we then, after the final race has been had, will we know where everybody stands and certainly know which week was, in fact, their drop week. And that can change things pretty significantly for that final race. All right, Soul Motion Fire telling us, here we go. The restart is about to commence. There's AMS Storm and McQueen, 1 and 2. Blackout in third, and oh no, already a loading screen here, and we haven't even launched the race yet. Storm will signal the start as soon as Storm's Scirocco moves. Everybody can move, and here we go. Once again, kick the tires, light the fires. We are restarting week number 3 in season 35 of the Forza Spec Racing Series into turn number 2. And AMS Storm has got a nice little jump here on the reattempt. Here comes McQueen, then Audrex in third, Blackout in fourth, Fear the Fun in fifth. AMS Unicon, you got to look back to 6th position to find him. And his Scirocco currently, Born as Ghost in 7th, Cratrum in 8th, Unku in 9th, Track Wolf in 10th. And ooh, Wolf on the short end of the stick here as far as that restart goes. He had a much better position through the early the first run before things were restarted. And here we go into that hairpin, that final right-hander before you make the charge here. Front wheel drive. Front wheel drive are the vehicles. And AMS Storm now with about a 3 or 4 car length lead. And here we go with the loading screen again. Man, the connection seems to be uber spotty today. Here comes McQueen up over the curbing. And yes, you can take advantage of the non-official track limit area, or I guess I should say the official off-track area, or outside of track limits, because qualifying's done with, and I believe Slow Motion Fire has given them permission to use any portion that isn't blocked by a concrete barrier here. And AMS Storm, McQueen, 1-2 into the hairpin. Look out for the concrete wall. They both avoid it. Spinning out the front tires and across the line. Storm, they're in race number 3 of the season, our first race of week 2 last week. Preserved his tires all throughout the race out there at Lime Rock and made that last lap heroic push to get around not only second place, but his teammate AMS Unicon to pick up the win and go back to back to back through the first 3 races here of the season. And so AMS Storm looking to pick up his 4th victory here in season 35. Let's go ahead and jump back momentarily. Let's go to Blackout, who's in 5th position. He's got Unicon out in front of him in 4th, and in 3rd it is still Audrex. As we see that a train of cars, they're in single file formation heading into the right-hander. Those front discs are glowing. AMS Unicon going to look out to the outside here through the final left-hander, the pair of left-handers, and now Unicon to the inside line through the hairpin, and there you go. AMS Unicon up to 3rd position after starting in row number 3. Audrex dropping back to 4th. Blackout still there in 5th. Craytrim in 6th. Fear the Fun in 7th. Uku in 8th. Track Wolf in 9th. Joe Beardy in 10th. Then it's Slipstream, Slow Motion Fire, Jacob T. BOED, AP1 Raccoon, Born as Ghost, Sprazaus, Mortismo, Beer, Kuda, Fox Jason D, who had to go into pit lane there on the end of lap number 1. Not a good start there for Fox Jason D. Going back to, well, we're going to stay here with Blackout in 5th position, is now maybe making a run here at Audrex, as Audrex got passed last time by this section by MS Unicon. Now let's see what happens here. Maybe Blackout will take the same approach. Maybe cut it to the inside here. A little switcheroo action. Does it nicely, but Audrex with enough momentum to carry out of the corner in position. Hold on to 4th place. Let's go back up to 2nd here with McQueen, who's now a good, I don't know, 1/4 of a second off the pace. A good 5, almost 6 car lengths as they head into the left, or excuse me, the right-hander. Again, what would be turn 8 if we were running the full Long Beach circuit. Down the back straightaway. And let's go ahead and hop on board here. Get ourselves a better camera view, or at least see how McQueen is maybe going to approach this. And with AMS Unicon soon to be knocking on the door, I don't think McQueen's going to be trying to hold off and take this one carefully. I think he's going to make the move if it presents itself. Here down the front straightaway, underneath the Toyota bridge and across the line. And if we do have this track in the next Forza Motorsport title, it's likely to be fitted with all the new sponsorship garb around the track. Toyota no longer the official sponsor here of the Long Beach circuit. That's the most, maybe not the most difficult corner, but it is the one that if you get wrong, you're going to pay for it the most. That tire wall there on the left-hand side, it will pin you there. And unfortunately for everybody behind you, you're just going to stick out in the middle of the road. And the resulting carnage that ensues makes nobody happy. We see Fear the Fun there in the background. Fear the Fun. Oh my gosh, did Fear the Fun have to go into pit lane? Yeah, Fear the Fun in 19th position. That's not good for somebody who right now is 7th overall on the leaderboard and could make a run for the top 3. Already looking to be a drop week for him. Back to 5th with Blackout, who's lost sight of Audrex. Audrex now starting to take off. Blackout in the Hollywood car, and the theme here for season 35, the paint jobs, at least what the drivers have been encouraged to sport, is a livery that pays homage or homage to a television or cinema company. So a fictional company that lives in the world of TV or the big screen. Back out of that right-hander toward the line, beginning of lap number 8. And McQueen has closed the door, or closed the gap here. It's MS Storm who currently holds the door. McQueen has closed that gap, so we'll return here to our top 2. And they've got quite a stretch to go before they run back into lap traffic, so they won't have to concern themselves with that too much, at least for right now. Of course, as soon as I say that, I see some of the back markers into pit lane. And once they emerge after that that little dog leg or that kink there on the front straightaway, they might be lined up right in the way of our lead drivers here. And yeah, it's looking that way. So let's hang tight right here and see what happens. Slipstream is in the mix there with Jacob T. Boed. And you've got to be especially careful here because whereas Long Beach, the full circuit, the pit cars can take that right lane. The racing vehicles that are at speed can take the left side of that straightaway. But not here on this short little east circuit. You don't have very long before the pit exit and turn 2 converge. And McQueen now looking every which direction he can because, yes, he will have, at least I'm guessing he will have Udakan to deal with here in maybe about 4 or 5 laps. There's Audrex back behind Udakan, still in 4th, Blackout in 5th, Craytrim in 6th. Craytrim needs to gain a few more positions here. 3rd overall on the leaderboard. Oh, Slow Motion Fire got dropped as well, so they're going to launch a new lobby here for race number 2. As Slow Motion Fire is apparently DNF'd right there at the top of the ticker. Blackout has now moved up to 4th position, finding a way around Audrex, who is not too far behind. Not far behind at all. He's right there on the heels of Blackout. Oh, Craytrim having a rough exit there out of the hairpin, tapped the wall. So Craytrim has all kinds of work to do. Fortunately for him, his closest competitor, Wolf, is, at least for the purposes of this track, it would seem that Wolf is a mile behind. It's not literally a mile, but it's that great a distance that Craytrim doesn't necessarily have to worry about who's behind him, but definitely wants to keep pace and then some with the top 5. Back up to McQueen in 2nd. And McQueen making a move for 1st position now with AMS Storm dropping back to 2nd. And by a big chunk. So something happening there with Storm as we took a look back on the latter half of the top 5. And so now here on lap number 12, we've got ourselves a new leader. You don't have to look too far behind to see the headlights beaming in the distance there of AMS Udakan. Looking to close that gap, but at the same time playing defense there. Well, not playing defense, actually getting around some back markers. And maybe a full second and a half is Blackout in 4th. Audrex another second back in 5th. Craytrim does seem to be catching up with the top 5. Now here comes Storm and McQueen with all that tire smoke, which means they are just chewing through those tires. I'm kind of nervous to check what their damage is. 30% there on the front left, closing in, and hits 30 there on the right-hand side for Storm. Very early on in this 33-lap race. We go to compare that against McQueen. McQueen sits at 28 and 27, so McQueen being a little bit easier on the tires, at least up to this point. Now let's see if that changes with McQueen out front, and who knows? Was AMS Storm's drop to the back a strategic maneuver to say, yeah, you know what, I'm eating through the tires quite quickly. Let me ease up a bit. And Udakan might actually be taking that approach, because that's how Udakan lost the win out at Lime Rock there a week ago tonight. Had that race in the bag, at least for the start of the final lap, and then teammate AMS brethren Storm 1919 caught up, and apparently all because of the conservation of the tires. Here comes McQueen, followed by Storm, and they're actually they've got a good pace going here compared to that of Udakan. And there's the tire situation. AMS Udakan are Season 33 and Season 34 champion, trying to go back to back to back. Not if AMS Storm has anything to say about it. SVR Blackout is closing in on Udakan. Of course, I say that, but actually Udakan was much closer to Blackout a while ago. And now it's Blackout trying to catch back up. He fell back to 5th. And now sits in 4th with Audrex in 5th. Back out here onto the back straightaway, lap 15. Hop on board with Storm. Slow Motion Fire telling us in pit lane, I wanted to run this race. Would have much preferred to be dropped from Suzuka if I had to pick. Yeah, that's never fun. Like, that's a pretty disappointing feeling when you're looking forward to a race or an event and then something like that happens, whether it be a disconnect or you just have an awful start. Quick little change in emotion there as we see Kuda on the horizon there, one of the back markers, along with Sprazaus. They're running 13th and 14th out of 20 drivers, 20 or 21 who started this race. So Kuda, it's not that Kuda and Sprazaus are running slow here, it's just that's how quick McQueen and Storm are. Sprazaus, well, unable to do so there, and that's going to hold Storm up a little bit, especially if Storm ends up into the tire wall. Fortunately, he did not, despite the little clanking of door panels there, and Storm says, get off of my bumper. We're not racing each other. You don't need to be bump drafting me. Storm into the right-hander. Got another back marker up ahead, I think. And look at that, AMS Storm sliding the back end of the Scirocco out through the hairpin. And yeah, there is one back marker out in front of McQueen right now. And then they'll have a little bit of clean air before they run into the next pack of cars. That's Fox Jason D there in 18th position. So you got AMS Storm here behind McQueen for 2nd position. And pardon me as our camera switches over to one of our back markers exiting pit lane. SVR Blackout now into 3rd. Audrex in 4th. Cratrum in 5th. Track in 6th. Unku, that's That's Track Wolf in 6th. Unku in 7th. Joe Beardy in 8th. Raccoon in 9th. Martismo. I'm looking for Udakan, who apparently has disconnected from the race himself. Wow. And I don't mean that in the sense that he disconnected himself, like he did it himself, but he too has disconnected from this race, I think. Well, hold on, there he is. Now I see him back out on the track. Something weird there with my scoring. Oh, that's what happened. I was on Storm, and then Udakan took the place of Storm, but it didn't register until I started looking through the field. Wow. That's as unlucky as, well, not as unlucky as it can get, because it'd be more unlucky if you were running in first. Storm fell back to second behind McQueen. But now Udakan, by default, moves up to second position. Blackout to third. This will be real good for Blackout in terms of the standings, the overall standings here coming out of week 3. Audrex in 4th, Cratrim in 5th, and Cratrim closing in on Audrex. That'll be the next move to see if it happens. You see Audrex way up ahead past the start-finish line. Here comes Cratrim. The hurricane is messing up the internet everywhere. Yeah, apparently so. If that's where some of the folks are located there on the eastern seaboard. Cratrim's got to get around Kuda here in a little bit. Closest battle right now in our top 5 will be for second. And that's between Udakan and Blackout, but it's going to take a bit there for Blackout to be able to catch up. Then it's Audrex and Cratrim. And then on the opposite end of the track is Track Wolf, who had a better start on our initial go before they called a restart. And so Track there in 6th, and unless something happens here to the top 5, that might be where he finishes. Joe Beardy in 7th, Unku in 8th, AP1 Raccoon in 9th, 10th is Martismo. Then it's Born as Ghost. Sprazow's Fear the Fun has moved up to 13th from 19th, and of course picking up a couple of positions by default there with some DNFs. Kuda 93 in 14th, Jacob in 15th, Slipstream in 16th, Fox Jason D, Beer. There's going to be a lot of drivers who would rather forget this race for sure. And fortunately, because of the drop week rule in the Forza Spec Racing Series, they can forget the race. What they won't be able to forget is any of the racing there in week number 4 and 5, because from this point forward, if you know week 3 is your drop week, you cannot have any mistakes in the last three events. MS Storm says, yeah, I wasn't really feeling second place, you know, so I went ahead and cut the cord. Understandable. Still here with Cratrim. Let's go back to Blackout there with Udakan out in front of him. Blackout running pretty quick here. I'm impressed. He's closed that gap back up. I thought Udakan, who started out in row number 3, was able to get around Cratrim and Audrex, and then start to take off. They're in 3rd position. Of course, this before Storm got disconnected. I thought Udakan was going to be able to be in a very comfortable position, but that has quickly changed here. Even as I speak, Udakan is just dropping back car lengths as we go down the back straightaway. Blackout a little sloppy there coming out of that right-hander, what would normally be turn number 8. And now here they come into the next right-hander, penultimate right-hander. Then you've got the pair of lefts before the hairpin. 33 laps here, race number 5 of season 35. They go, both of them pouring a trail of smoke out the back end. Those front tires just screaming for mercy. Up to 55% now there for Blackout. Let's compare that to Amos Udakan, who's got 57 on that front right, 55 on the left. A little bit of a preservation of tires might be what it takes here to bring you success in the final 11 laps. But I don't see anybody letting up. RZ and McQueen. Let's go look at McQueen, and currently faring much better, 52 and 54, right and left tires respectively. And perhaps because of the disconnect of Storm and the distance that he has on second place, able to ease up on those tires a little bit. That way he can make a push there at the end if he needs to defend. Cratrium not too close to Audrex for fourth. Unku now starting to get pretty good separation there on Wolf. Wolf good separation on Raccoon. Raccoon has good separation on Mortismo. And then you've got Mortismo and Borna's Ghost pretty much back-to-back there, 9th and 10th. Let's go to 10th. Borna's Ghost. Borna's Ghost with the Dinoco livery. Not Sunoco. Dinoco. They're from Toy Story. Pizza Planet logo on there as well. Bourne looking to make a pass already in the top 10, but why settle for 10th when you can have 9th? And here comes Blackout. Mortismo holding down the inside line. Look at that. As quick as our top 10 are, here comes McQueen to give them a little bit of a reality check. You guys are quick, but you're not me quick. And here comes Borna's Ghost there on the right quarter panel, the right rear quarter panel of Mortismo, able to get on the braking enough to avoid any sort of spin out there to Mortismo's car. And here comes McQueen on the inside. Trying to make a clean pass, but Borna's Ghost probably saying, well, you know what? I'm fighting for position here. I don't care what position you're running in. Get out of my way. I'm going for 9th. So we'll see if we can come back to that one if it does become a closer battle. Let's go back to Blackout there, who has Udakan set in his sights across the line, beginning of lap 28. Will Blackout make the move here? Not likely to catch up to first, so maybe you do make it a bit of a waiting game, but there goes Udakan to the inside, Blackout on the outside. That's always scary. If you guys are following DOR Brad on Twitter, you might have seen a highlight of he and a teammate going side by side into that corner, making team ownership feel a little uneasy, but they pulled it off. Blackout doing the same here on Udakan. Not same team. Exiting for lap 29. Make that lap 28. Here's lap 29. We've got another bulk of back markers out in front of them, and they're probably going to be riding alongside them here on these final laps. So that could have a pretty significant impact on who finishes in second position. The difference in points for the leaderboard, I believe, is 3. So 3 extra points if you finish second. You better believe Blackout is going for him. Blackout, who was 5th overall on the leaderboard coming into week number 3. Udakan 2nd on the leaderboard. Teammate AMS Storm sits atop. AMS Storm disconnecting here inadvertently. Race number 5 of the season. 9 races, 5 weeks of racing. For all the information about the Forza Spec Racing Series, not only here in season 35, but out into the future, head on over to reddit.com/r/FM4. There goes Udakan getting around Joe Beardy, who's in 11th. Joe's going to go side by side there with Blackout before deciding to give him a little bit of room to breathe. There onto the back bumper is Blackout. Blackout comes a little bit too far into the concrete barrier. And if you know Forza physics at all, that kind of acts as a magnet. Kind of holds you there. And so it takes a little bit of effort to get off of that barrier, and just like that, Udakan has a bit of a more comfortable lead there on Blackout. It's not much. Excuse me, Udakan has a lead there on Blackout. It's not much. By about a, I don't know, 2-car length lead there as they hit the back straightaway. Lap 31. AMS Custom Dips. Good to see ya. DWM Frog saying ouch. Yeah, I don't know if I would have attempted the move there, but of course let me not pretend that I'm as quick as these drivers. AMS Udakan gets spun around, and as luck would have it, his spin actually puts him right out in front of Blackout, blocking Blackout from being able to make the move. And so they'll stay 2 and 3 here for the beginning of lap 32. And we'll take a quick look at that here on our virtual Autosports Rewind. Now Blackout onto the rear right quarter panel of Slipstream. Blackout saying, pardon me, excuse me, we got work to do. And now our race leader, RZM McQueen, coming across the line. White flag flies. Final lap here out at Long Beach East for the start of Season 35's week number 3 and the end of the first half of Season 35. And across the line goes Blackout with Udakan. And these two are separated there by Track Wolf. New team. Blackout's going to go onto the inside there of Wolf, and then he's got Joe Beardy. And, yeah, I mean, Udakan is out there now, and it's going to take quite a bit to make up that delta. RZM McQueen, who was able to make the pass on AMS Storm earlier on in this race, holds on to the top spot, comes across the line, and is going to cherish all 50 of those points here. Could use every single one of them in Season 35. The overall standings across the line. Now Udakan, Blackout in 3rd. Let's go to Audrex. Audrex looks to finish out in 4th. He sure does. 5th position will go to Cratrim. Unku in 6th. Unku making a pretty strong recovery. Raccoon in 7th. Born as Ghost in 8th. Muertismo in 9th. Joe Beardy in 10th. We'll run through the rest of the field as soon as we get back. I'm Dustin Moore. You're watching Virtual Auto Sports here live on Twitch TV. We're going to take ourselves a little bit of an ad break. Don't worry, you're not going to miss anything. I'm just going to take note of where everybody finished. We'll go to our driver's spotlight to see if anybody has anything to say about that pretty chaotic is the word I guess I can come up with. Crazy and chaotic out there at Long Beach East for race number 5. We'll get ready for race number 6 out at Suzuka West in the rain. That and more here after this commercial break. And welcome back to Virtual Auto Sports here live on Twitch TV with the Forza Spec Racing Series, season number 35. We're halfway through the season. This point right here, right now, marks the halfway mark, and we begin the second half of season 35 with our next race out at Suzuka West in the rain. But before we have that, we will have our 3 laps of qualifying. Before we have that, let's go ahead and bring into the driver's spotlight, finishing 11th position, is not IPR Wolf. I keep wanting to say IPR Wolf, but now Track Wolf. Wolf, congratulations, migrating teams there in the Forza community.
Yeah, thank you.
And I don't know, maybe somebody told me earlier that you actually had changed quite a while. It's just now that you're getting to the name. Is that correct? To the gamer tag?
Yeah, it was about a couple days or so. It's just that I was doing the 12 hours of Silverstone, and I didn't want to change my gamer tag before then. Otherwise, it would cause all sorts of logistical issues and so on and so forth.
Makes
So,
sense. Makes sense. How did Sebring go? Yeah, gosh, I said it last week. You just had it a little flub there a second ago, and it had me thinking about it. How did Silverstone go? The 12 hours there with the Online Racing Association.
it, it went pretty well, I'd say. The team overall made up about 5 positions or so, which, in the grand scheme of things, couldn't have asked for a better position, more consistent. I guess sort of right because plus me and Stovall we had a pretty we words. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No
But
worries. No need to apologize. Talking with Track Wolf here in the driver's spotlight following our first race of the evening. So let's migrate away from the 12 hours of Silverstone to what we just experienced here. Not a bad finish for you, 11th. Obviously, you'd probably like to see yourself at least another one, maybe 2, 3, 4 spots up. Just not in the cards for you out there at Long Beach. Was that a chaotic event for you? I mean, obviously we didn't. I wasn't able to have the camera on you much, but it seemed like drivers were having all kinds of issues out there on the track.
early on, definitely was a fair bit chaotic, a fair bit more chaotic than typical. Of course, Long Beach, especially with that final corner, it is extremely tight, all things considered. And if you get caught out, you get caught into the tire wall, and then because you're almost perpendicular to the tire wall, it's very easy to just have it snowball out of hand. To be honest, I'm very fortunate that I didn't get caught up in that, though I very easily could have.
The event host, Slow Motion Fire, said he was actually looking forward to that race. He wanted to race out there at Long Beach and got disconnected earlier. Were you as eager and excited about Long Beach as he, or were you not?
Uh, I to be honest with you, I kind of forgot a little bit with all the with all the stuff that we already talked about, the 12 hours
Yeah.
mainly, but also just personal life stuff. Just I just kind of forgot about it, to be completely honest.
Makes things interesting come race day, right? When you prioritized other things and you're like, oh, okay, where are we racing at tonight? I don't even know. It makes things
Yeah,
interesting for you. Well,
yeah,
still, again, able to finish 11th. So I want to say not half bad, although if we were doing the math, then it would be half bad. But I'm not going to look at it that way. I'm looking at the glass half empty or half full there, and 11th position there to close things out at Long Beach. Wolf, best of luck here in qualifying at Suzuka and in the race.
alrighty, thank you.
All right, so Track Wolf, TRAC Wolf, chatting with us there in the driver's spotlight. The one driver who was looking forward to an interview, nobody else wanting to spill the beans or share their thoughts on that race. Again, after we saw how things transpired, I'm guessing a lot of folks would just rather forget that one happened. And who knows, with as many drivers as having, I guess, an unsuccessful run there in this first race of the evening, I'll be curious to see what happens here in our second race of the night. You do want to kind of plan, especially if you finished out there at Long Beach. For those who DNF'd and got a goose egg for race number 5, well, you don't really have much hope in terms of what you can do here in race number 6. Week 3 looks to be your drop week. But for everybody else who actually did finish the race, maybe not as good as they had hoped, well, you still got to have a contingency plan here of being successful at Suzuka with the thought that maybe something crazy could happen in week 4 or 5 that you just don't plan on, and those end up having to be your drop weeks. And of course, week number 5 is the worst to have as a drop week because it is one race, it's double your points, and so usually week number 5 is a keeper, or at least it's one that you want to keep. Whereas the first 4 weeks, you have those 2 races, depending on the difference between how you finish from one to the next. Weeks 1 through 4 traditionally are the ones that you look to say, hey, I'll go ahead and scrap that one. But who knows? We'll see how it transpires here in race number 6. We'll have the qualifying first, the 3 laps out there at Suzuka West. It'll be dry for qualifying, I believe, and then they'll put in the precipitation for the actual race. And then week 4, a week from tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. It will not be broadcast here on Virtual Auto Sports as I have a personal commitment to attend to, so I will not have week number 4 for you here on Virtual Auto Sports. Again, maybe one of the other drivers will be broadcasting their vantage point, and at that point you can at least see how things finish out. And then I will return for week number 5 on August the 18th for the conclusion here of Season 35. Can AMS Storm bag it up and come up with the win and end the championship streak that his teammate AMS Udakan is on right now, coming out of Season 33 and 34? And did so. Pretty interesting how it all happened there for AMS Udakan, picking up the championship in Season 33 in the Pontiac Solstice GXP, and then picking the vehicle for Season 34, which his pick was the 1956 Ford F100. So you're talking about a pretty big generational gap there between the Solstice and the F100, and yet Udakan was able to pick up the championship in both seasons. And now here we are in the Volkswagen Scirocco with Udakan trying to go back to back to back. But AMS Storm, despite the disconnect there in that first race, is still going to be in a good spot here as long as week number 4 and week 5 pan out for him. But then also you got to look out for RZ and McQueen, who's making an appearance here, a debut in season number 35, and picks up a few much-needed points there with that victory out at Long Beach. That should, well, it's going to leapfrog him over Craigtrim and then get him closer to AMS Udakan and closer to Storm as well. All right, our drivers are readying up, and it looks like we might be qualifying in the rain here if the backdrop is telling of what we're to expect. Sprazaus looks like maybe he is just going to watch from the sideline, unless Sprazaus clicked the wrong button. 21 drivers now in the lobby. We had 22 here this evening, but it appears that carryout with carryout is in the lobby. So somebody else has dropped out for the day. Maybe is it Storm, who's gone ahead and said, you know what, forget about it. Forget about it, Forza. If you don't want me for the first race of the night, I'm not going to do the second. Yeah, it looks like Storm has gone ahead and ducked out, which is an interesting tactic because even if this is your drop week, what you can make out of it is an opportunity to take points away from your closest competitor. So Storm opting not to race here out at Suzuka, but I have to question the thinking on that one because you can rip some points. While you may say, hey, week 3, I'm going to throw that one in the trash, what if you finish out in front of some of these other folks and take points away from them? That's what you should be shooting for. I won't tell anybody how to live their life, though. Here we go, qualifying underway. Suzuka, and sure enough, the waterworks are in full effect. Unku is going to be the second out the chute. Craigtrim, the first one to lead things here in the 3-lap qualifying. A bit of a longer track compared to that of Long Beach, so this will be a somewhat lengthier qualifying session between Mortismo, the third one out the chute. Let's go to Slow Motion Fire, who unfortunately disconnected very early on at the race, or in the race at Long Beach. The event host getting back into the action. He has not decided to take the night off as they go through the hairpin. Not the alternate version of Suzuka, so no chicane there. Instead, they'll continue here out of that kinked section, that high-speed section, before hitting the left and preparing the lineup for Spoon. And then the charge toward the start-finish line. And this, of course, where things get fun and interesting to watch. what is it? 190? Is it 198R? I can't remember how they classify this corner, but there it is. And especially when you're trying to set a quick lap time, keeping it clean there is no easy feat, because you either go too far in or run too far wide. Right now, it's RZM McQueen with a 128.494, that standing start. We'll see how much further he's able to bring that down here on the flying lap. Let's go back to Raccoon, who currently has the 6th quickest qualifying lap. Nice little orange and I say blue, but it's kind of flirting on that line of, it's got that it's right on the cusp of like the blue purplish transition. Nice little color scheme there. The Scirocco. All these vehicles sporting the exact same upgrades. What is different about them is that the drivers can tune them with what parts are adjustable. And then, of course, the skill that's behind the wheel. That oftentimes varies from driver to driver, from car to car. And by oftentimes, I mean all the time. No two drivers really are alike out here. A great assortment, a diverse assortment of skill out here on the track. So even if you're not the quickest Forza driver, but you are looking for some organized racing fun in a league that doesn't take itself too seriously, but at the same time is organized to a point that they want you to race clean. They want you to have fun, but they want you to do it in a respectful and sportsmanlike fashion, then the Forza Spec Racing Series is for you. Reddit.com/r/FM4. Head on over to their Reddit subforum, get all the details. You too can race here in the last 2 weeks of the season after tonight. That way you can get a little bit familiar with how things run. And in about a month's time, they'll be launching season number 36. And if you are the winner of any one season, you get to pick the vehicle for the next season, the subsequent season. That here for season 35 being AMS Udakan, opting to run the VW Scirocco. As we see a bevy of cars getting out of spoon here. Here's Slipstream. Able to cut 3 seconds off that standing start time for a 125.017. That's our best lap here. And with most, if not all, and it is now all of our drivers completing their qualifying lap, it will be McQueen who's going to sit pole after picking up the victory at Long Beach. So a really good qualifying session here from McQueen, who seems to be on point in week number 3. Cratrum with a 125.666. Unku with a 127.090. Muertismo with a 126, a 127 for Wolf. So Motion Fire with a 128. Sprazaus there with a 129 dirtied. So that's going to put Sprazaus at the back of the pack. Jacob TBOED at 127.948. McQueen with a 125, the quickest lap of them all. 017. Born as Ghost with a 127.573. Another dirty lap there by Beer at 133. He'll be sitting back there with Sprazaus. Fox Jason D with a 135, a 128 for Kuda. Raccoon with a 132, 126 for Slip. Fear at a 126.424. Carry Out with a 125.935. AMS Udakan with a 125.521. Blackout. Ooh. Ouch. Able to get a 125.310. However, it is dirty. Perfect example of when I say the fastest dirty time will always be slower than the slowest clean lap. And so Blackout will join Beer and Sprzaus there at the back of the pack, although Blackout will be one row ahead of those two. Audrex with a 125.993. Joe Beardy with a 127.295. Sprzaus joining us here in the driver's spotlight, unable to get that clean lap. Oh, I had Sprzaus, and then Sprzaus is gone. Was there, and then gone. So maybe we'll catch Sprzaus at the end of the race. And instead, slow motion fire, getting everything loaded up. Everybody in their earned position on the grid. And I'm not 100% certain that the rain is going to fall right away. We may have to warm up to it, if you will. It might be one of those scenarios where we don't see the precipitation until halfway point or the end of the race, as that option exists here in Forza Motorsport 7. We've got the new Forza Motorsport title coming out at some point. We don't know when. Not likely to be a console release here with the new Xbox Series X, as we have heard the lingo of early in development, and what we saw was a very, very early teaser. It was just some GT cars out at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Not a lot of detail at all. As a matter of fact, I would say very little detail. But hey, that's an announced trailer for you. That's just the announcement saying, hey, Forza Motorsport, unnumbered, it exists. Details to come. I don't think the order is correct. Slow motion fire is saying we're ready to go, and now I'm going to get everything sorted here on the grid. McQueen moves up to the top spot. Things a little wonky here today. Things are just a little wonky. I had my Xbox services issues at the beginning of the stream. We had a restart there in race number 5. A little bit of a false start here in race number 6. As we watch slow motion fire work his magic, shuffling everybody to where they belong following our qualifying session. Fear the Fun, that'll be a name to keep an eye on. If there's anybody who's going to spoil the party, the points party for our top drivers, Fear the Fun is one of those who is certainly capable of doing that. Sober David says, I know the game exists. That's good enough for me now. I'm in the same boat, man. I'm in the same boat. I saw Turn 10 take a lot of criticism for the announcement trailer, which does seem a bit odd for me because it's simply that. It's an announcement trailer. I mean, it was even, the preface was even there from, it wasn't Phil Spencer, but it was one of the Xbox execs who teased it, saying, hey, this is a title that's early in development. Here's Forza Motorsport, and it rolled. And the fact that it was announced was good enough for me. I honestly, I can go without a Forza title here. Release here in 2020. I can do that. I'm not saying everybody else should be able to do it, but I can. Just because I feel like the devs have obviously made a purposeful decision. Chris Sasaki, Dan Greenwald, John Windle, and team have clearly made a decision to not postpone, but to push out and give a little bit more time for development. So for myself, I'm like, well, you know what? I can take a little breather as well. A Forza Motorsport title every 2 years for the last 15 years. I guess 14 years if you don't include this year with one not coming out. I'm okay with that. it gives me a little chance to breathe. Now, what will be interesting is what that does to the Forza Horizon cycle, because Forza Horizon has come out every 2 years through the first 4 titles of that franchise, of that brand, that spinoff from the Forza Motorsport brand. So I don't know if that pushes out Horizon 5 a little bit, or if Horizon 5 is going to stay on schedule. And kudos to Playground Games. I mean, them officially announcing Fable as a title that they're working on. Here we go. Kick the tires, light the fires. Our final race of the evening, race number 6 here in Season 35 is underway. And it's going to be RZ and McQueen who picked up the win out there at Long Beach, leading them out of the first turn, now into turn number 2, cut through the infield here at Suzuka as we are on the West Circuit and in the rain, and it will be McQueen out in front. Udakan in second, Kraytrim in third, Carry Out in fourth, Audrex, Slipstream, Mortismo, Unku, Fear the Fawn, and Wolf back there in 10th position. AMS Udakan now coming over the rumble strip. You see that what that does to the suspension there, articulation of the suspension, the wheel bouncing all around. And looking a bit further back, you see some of those drivers running a bit wide. You got to get back out onto the raceway before you hit the kitty litter. That'll really slow you down. And now here comes McQueen with about a 4-car length lead. That's not likely to last. Udakan hanging out there in the balance. Here comes Kraytrim, Carry Out, Audrex. Let's go back to Audrex in 5th position. Audrex picking up 4th as a result of a few, or at least one DNF. AMS Storm there in our first race of the evening would have finished 5th had it not happened to Storm. And now here comes Audrex. He's got 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th out in front of him. The Rooster Tails. Crank it to the left here. Come off the accelerator, not to run wide. Apply a heavy dosage of braking. Grab the apex there on the rumble strip, and then there's a little bit of the effect of the wetness of the track sliding out on the curbing on the right-hand tires. And now back toward the bridge here on this figure 8 configuration that is Suzuka. It's a nice little layout. I like it. It's not one of my favorite tracks, but it is one that I enjoy to a point. The S's very early on in the full circuit, not my strong suit. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier on in tonight's broadcast, our drivers telling us they're in week number 2, as we were kind of looking ahead to this race here in the rain, that the rain actually might help them preserve some of the tire. And therefore, that tire degradation that we see on all the other races here in Season 35, this being the only wet weather track, or wet weather event, all the other tracks are going to chew through the tires. This one, an exception. There's Carry Out with Audrex still back there in 5th. We've got a car, I didn't catch who that was, but already some folks having to duck into pit lane coming off of lap number 1. We've got 21 laps here on the west side of Suzuka. And we'll see if this rain doesn't let up a little bit. Allow some of that track to dry up, gain a little bit of grip, and make a hard charge toward the end of the race. AMS Udakan still back in 2nd, kind of just spying right now. Ball hawking, if you will. Looking to see what McQueen is going to do, or not do, and try to take advantage of it. And yeah, we've got a car on the exit of pit lane. It's going to be Wolf, who had a rough go out there at Long Beach. Seems to repeat that, or seems to be repeating that here at Suzuka, and so this will be a week that he would rather not apply to his total point count. Currently, well, at least entering week number 3 in 9th at 64 points. all kinds of loading screen. I think that was Wolf, maybe. Well, that's Carryout. Carryout, who's had connectivity issues all night. That's going to send him out to the showers, back to the showers early for Carryout here in week number 3. And another driver who would just rather forget that this week ever happened. And that reset our camera position. So let's go to Blackout in 7th. Blackout, if you remember, qualified with a fairly decent time, but it was a dirty lap. And so he's having to make a push through the pack. Gonna pick up that unofficial hard charger award as he goes around Slipstream. Can he make it stick on what is an otherwise unsticky surface here? And sure enough, he does. Well done by Blackout, who goes from, I think that would have been 18th position, now up to 6th in a matter of 4.5 laps. Slip now in 7th, Fear the Fun in 8th, Unku in 9th, Jacob T. Boed in 10th. Kratrim in 3rd, Audrex in 4th because of Carryout disconnecting. That moves Audrex up 1 spot. Right on board here with Blackout, back behind Mortismo. Mortismo will do everything he can to hold on position, but I think it'll be inevitable here that we'll see Blackout grab another position. To the high line here at the hairpin before bringing it back toward the inside line a little bit early. Grabbing the back end of Mortismo's Scirocco. And let's go to the Virtual Autosport Rewind there with Blackout, who made that move for 5th position, excuse me, 6th position, getting around Slipstream. And Blackout makes the move. Perhaps doesn't leave enough space there for Mortismo. Mortismo sends him sliding. Now here they come out of Spoon side by side. We'll go ahead and bring the camera out as we'll get the overhead view here in just a second. And they're going to carry it all the way into the kink here. Oh, this is going to get scary. Well, there goes Blackout, assuming the lead position and 5th. There he goes, and so yet another position consumed. And we'll see what Blackout can make possible here in this 21-lap race. He's got quite a gap to overcome there to catch up with Audrex and Kratrim in 4th and 3rd respectively. Let's go back to Udakan in 2nd. He's still behind McQueen. McQueen, who qualified in the top spot and is looking to pick up the 2nd win here in week number 3, which will do wonders for his points total on the overall leaderboard. The rain continues to fall. We'll see if maybe at the halfway mark of the race, if it's going to let up at all. T-Phrase, what's going on, man? Grabbing one of those emotes out of the Virtual Autosport arsenal using your pit points. If you guys want to see some iRacing action, T-Phrase is on the journey up through the ranks in the NASCAR trucks, and I think I maybe have seen you do a little bit of the NASCARs themselves, or am I wrong? And as I was mentioning, the rain letting up, it looks like we're down to a sprinkle at this point. Just a very, very light rain. with peaks of sunset cut through the clouds. Nice little skybox here. Forza 7. AMS Udakan. We continue to watch to see if he'll catch up here with McQueen. Let's go to Fear the Fun in 8th. Now has Slipstream in his sights. Slipstream, who got passed by Blackout there 2 laps back, now at risk of falling back to 8th. And then not too far behind, you've got Unku in 9th. And behind Unku is Born as Ghost in 10th. Yes, sir, trucks and ARCA mainly. Just getting into the Xfinity cars. And A-Class is 0.26 away, so hopefully cut cars soon. There you go. I find that journey in iRacing to be quite intriguing, especially since the season just reset recently. And although I'm not a iRacing subscriber, I do quite often find myself getting invested in seeing others as they climb up through the licenses and the ranks of each vehicle class and division. Here comes Fear the Fun. He was off on the rumble strip, the curbing, and onto that little extra tarmac that you have underneath the bridge, and quickly got over before that ran out. Trying to find every bit of ground to catch up on Slipstream. Ortizmo kind of riding solo right now in 6th. Same can be said for Blackout, who is trying to catch up with Audrex, and I think he is making progress. It'll be very close here toward the end of the race. Audrex in 4th, Cratrim in 3rd. That's where those two finished out. Actually, take that back. Audrex finished 4th, Cratrim finished 5th at Long Beach a race ago. Let's go to Audrex. T-Phrase says, it's a great design, honestly. Just needs some things tweaked, but I do miss Forza and Forza Motorsport. It's a good break, though, you know? I mean, you got Project Cars 3 coming out, which it seems like a lot of the sim crowd obviously not too enthused about, but if I'm going to be brutally honest, I could use a racer that doesn't necessarily take itself too seriously. I mean, how many of those serious sim style racers do we need? I don't know. I'm more of a casual racer in these things, so maybe my opinion doesn't carry the greatest amount of weight, but I can understand what business rationale Slightly Mad Studios likely has for trying to be a bit more accessible. And while a lot of folks will see it as a step back, I can kind of commend them for saying, you know what, we know our place in the racing genre, and we need to try to kind of etch out our own little territory here. So, I don't know, whether it be Project Cars, or if you do kind of pursue the more sim route with iRacing, Race Room, Assetto Corsa Competizione, whatever it is, I mean, you got plenty of options. The days of the racing genre in video games being a bleak and meager set of options have seemingly long departed us. Did they announce Forza Motorsport 8 a few weeks ago? They announced Forza Motorsport, so they are going back to just the Forza Motorsport title, which I was thinking, like, when Chris Sasaki said, hey, the next Motorsport experience is to be announced, like, we will give you guys a little bit more information on that as time ticks on. That verbiage had me thinking, okay, we're not seeing a carryover of the numbering system, and obviously when franchises do that, it usually denotes a revamp or a kind of a fresh start, if you will. And so it is just Forza Motorsport. Audrex here in fourth. Cratrim up there still in third position. Udakan still in second with McQueen. Now a bit of a lead there, but it's not likely to last long. We'll see if he can continue to hold off Udakan here for the last half of this race. Martismo in sixth. Let's go back to Slipstream in seventh. And Fear the Fun in eighth. Hopefully it's a Forza Motorsport 4 reboot, best racing game I've ever played of the sim style. I'm a big fan of Forza Motorsport 3 and 4. I think those were probably my most enjoyable experiences with the franchise. But that being said, I would love to see that they have just kind of scrapped everything that we've come to know and expect with Forza Motorsport, with the exception being things like the user generated content features like the paint booth and tuning and all that. Obviously, don't scrap those, but everything else we knew about the Forza Motorsport franchise, the career, the single-player career, multiplayer lobbies even, creating races. It just baffles me that through 7 iterations of Forza Motorsport, there's never been a feature in-game to promote racing series, community racing series. So I'm excited to see what maybe is to come with that. There's just so much that I would like to see of Forza Motorsport yesteryear depart, and a new take and a more modern take on the racing genre come to life in the next Forza Motorsport. And here comes Fear the Fun, who looked like he was going to finally make a run there at Slipstream. Just couldn't make it stick. Of course, I say that here in the rain, which actually has picked up a bit. We had some sprinkles, and then the skies have seemingly opened back up to allow more rain to fall. And sure enough, the skybox confirms it there as more clouds roll in, obscuring that sunset, that everlasting sunset that we have here, and putting us back into overcast conditions with a fully damp racetrack. So it would appear that we are not going to see any rain relief for the remainder of this one. And now Fear the Fun does indeed make that move to 7th. Let's go back to 5th with SVR Blackout. He has caught up with Audrex, and there goes Audrex into the side of Cratrim, and it's going to be 3 wide here, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Blackout in 5th, Audrex in 4th, Cratrim at least for now in 3rd. But boy, oh boy, look at this battle for position, battle for the top 3 playing out before us. Cratrim's going to lead him into the hairpin, with Wolf, one of the back markers, just not having a great run here in this second race of the evening. And now Audrex almost giving up ground there to Blackout. And he will do so here as they make the charge to the far west end of the circuit into Spoon. It'll be Cratrim, now Blackout to 4th. And again, this is Blackout after having posted a dirty lap time coming out of qualifying. So going from somewhere in and around the 18th position, P18, now up to 3rd. Oh, and by the way, this is Blackout's debut season in the Forza Spec Racing Series. Let that one sink in for you. As we revert back to the Virtual Autosports Rewind to catch that action. And now Blackout, not only does he grab 3rd, make the double pass around Audrex, around Cratrim, but is now a man on a mission I just don't know if he's got enough time to catch up with Udukan in second. I just don't know that he has the time. McQueen still out in front, trying to go back-to-back here in week number 3. And it would be the first time in many, many races, I don't even know how many it's been. I'd have to go take a look at the annals of the finishing orders here. Pardon me, you guys are seeing the endless rewind. I would have to see how many races it has been since we had somebody with a name that did not start with the initials AMS win a race here in the Forza Spec Racing Series. So for McQueen, who at this point might as well represent everybody else on the track, they're saying, hey, it's about dang time. Let's go back to Audrex in 5th with Craytrim in 4th. Don't forget that Codemasters also bought Slightly Mad, so maybe Codemasters can bring something new to the Project Cars franchise and the brand for them. Yeah, it's quite possible. I mean, the change in the direction, I have to believe that Codemasters probably had a big say in saying, hey, you know what? Let's peel back the damage and the tire wear and the pit stops. Let's take that out and let's try to make this an accessible racer. And so far, some of the early reviews that have gone out are indicating that it's actually not a bad formula. So, to the dismay of those who insist that you must have pit stops in a racing game, the formula might just work out for Slightly Mad Studios. That, again, a business decision that they may have had to make. I mean, it might have been perilous to try to build yet another super sim. And I say super sim lightly. I mean, obviously we know to what extent games that share multiple platforms and are made to be accommodating to a point, they're only so much a sim. But my point being, it might have been the end of the project. Oh, and there goes Craytrim! Now, who was, I don't know if maybe got sideways, maybe grabbed some of the kitty litter there out of the double right-handers. But now Audrex moves to 4th, where Audrex finished out at Long Beach. Craytrim now to 5th, where Craytrim finished out at Long Beach. My oh my. From 3rd back to 6th has been something to watch. Fear the Fun, who's now in 6th, maybe going to try to take advantage of some of these mistakes here in 3rd, 4th, well, 4th and 5th. See if he can't close in here on the remaining, what do we got, 6 laps, 5.5. Pro Race Driver was the best career mode I've ever played, says T-Phrase. I don't think I've ever played Pro Race Driver. I don't think I ever have. I don't think I have. I am looking forward. I'm a single player at heart. I know my limitations in terms of how competitive I am, so if I can feel like a racing hero when I'm racing, I don't know, somewhere in about the highly skilled to expert AI, then that's the kind of experience that I desire. I can't even recall the best career mode experience that I've had in a racing game. They've all been pretty forgettable. There's AMS Udukan. We're watching to see if he'll close the gap here on 1st and make it exciting here in the remaining laps. Right now, he's about a second, 2 seconds, maybe 3 seconds off the pace here with McQueen. And let's go ahead and take a look at the damage wear on AMS Udukan's car, which, again, the drivers told us during our driver spotlight conversations last week that the rain race should make it a bit more forgivable in terms of tire wear, and we are in fact seeing that. Uticon with only 47% tire wear on the front tires, 17% toward the back. Had it been a dry race, you better believe those numbers would be maybe 15 to 20%, not 15 to 20% higher, but 15 to 20 points higher than where they currently sit. Let's see, the top five. The battle for the top five is kind of quieted a bit, but we've got plenty of racing action here to remain for that to change. Let's go back to 7th with Muertismo. Yeah, so what I was saying was that, I mean, Project Cars, they might have had to make that decision. Otherwise, who knows? This might have been, and it possibly could still be, depending on how well Project Cars 3 does, but I would say maybe that Project Cars lineup is solely dependent on the success or that franchise. And there goes Fear the Fun, sliding into the hairpin. Avoids contact with Muertismo. However, it might have been contact that precipitated that slide. Muertismo back up to 6th. And let's go take a look a little bit further back to when Cratrium found himself a little bit sideways, allowing Audrex to get by in our Virtual Autosports Rewind about a lap ago. And yeah, it looks like he got a little uneasy, ran wide up onto the curbing, which didn't allow him to set up that next corner the way he would have liked, and off Audrex goes into 4th. Muertismo across the line, 6th position. Fear the Fun right behind him. Not too far back is Slipstream in 8th, Uku in 9th, Joe Beardy running in 10th position, and it's Jacob T. Boed, AP1 Raccoon, Born as Ghost, Kuda 93, Sprzaus, Soul Motion Fire, Fox Jason D, Track Wolf, Beer 98G, and then we had the disconnect from Carryout earlier on, and I think maybe even another driver. I thought we had 21 to start. Let's go to Slipstream here, 8th position, as Fear the Fun sandwiched in between Slipstream and Muertismo. Back into the hairpin where Fear the Fun got a little sideways a lap ago, and back out of it this time, looking good. The rain, again, coming down pretty good. I think this is the moderate setting, and this is what we're going to see from here on out, with our race leader now on lap 20 of 21. So next time by will be the white flag. Then we've got Dirt 5 coming, which obviously taking a different direction from where Dirt has been the last 2 iterations with Dirt Rally. Then you've got Gran Turismo 7, which there was a rumor that went out this past weekend that Gran Turismo might be a launch title, which would be a surprise. It would be a shock, because I've never known Polyphony Digital to really be on time. Not to say that releasing as a launch title would be on time. Some might argue, hey, give yourself a little bit more time to build Gran Turismo 7 up to what we formerly knew of Gran Turismo before Gran Turismo Sport. But I suppose it's possible that they've been working on Gran Turismo 7 for quite some time. Polyphony Digital and Turn 10 Studios obviously in very unique positions, that as soon as the hardware was available for the new console generation, they could already start working toward what the game would look like in terms of performance. I would say maybe Turn 10 Studios in a little bit more of an advantageous position. Their Forza Tech has been used to drive the development of consoles of Xbox's past, so they might have had a leg up there, whereas Polyphony Digital, I mean, obviously Kaz is very much ingrained in the leadership role there at Sony PlayStation, but that doesn't necessarily translate to having early access to hardware, although I'm guessing they had a pretty good clue very early on in PlayStation 5's development. You see Slipstream here in 8th. This really is our closest battle in the top 10. He's got Fear the Fun and Mortizma in front of him. Kratrum is in 5th, Audrex in 4th, Blackout in 3rd. I don't think he's going to be able to catch up with Udukan. And now across the line goes our race leader, and that's going to be it. Arzian McQueen is going to go back-to-back here in week number 3 of Season 35. Big-time congratulations to him. AMS Udukan will come across not in first, as the current timing suggests there, with Udukan jumping out in front, but instead in second, and sure enough, he'll put himself right there on the back bumper of McQueen. And in third, it's going to be Blackout. Fourth will go to Audrex, and then Kratrium. And we will run through the rest of the field when we get back from our commercial break. You're watching Virtual Autosports here live on Twitch TV. We're wrapping up week number 3, going into the second half here of Season 35 with VW Scirocco. We'll be right back after these commercial messages. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Virtual Autosport here on Twitch TV as we conclude week number 3, season 35. And really, this second race of the evening, a much better outcome than that first race as it relates to just kind of the more predictability of the race. Like we didn't have as many instances of disconnects and compared to that at Long Beach, there were fewer incidents out on the track. Most of what resulted in change in position was driver error and mistakes out here in the wet of Suzuka. McQueen picks up the second win here tonight, going back-to-back in season 35, week number 3, and that, again, is going to bode really, really well for him in terms of the overall point standings. And so where McQueen was 4th overall on the leaderboard heading into week number 3, this very well could have bumped him up 2 spots. Definitely will jump over Craytrim. And depending on how the math works out, when you factor in Udakan's worst week of the first 3, McQueen might find himself in 2nd on the overall points board heading into week number 4. And, of course, you can keep up with the points as Slow Motion Fire gets them updated into the official scorebook over there at reddit.com/r/FM4. That's where I pull the points myself, so you know those are the ones to go by. And because I won't be broadcasting a week from tonight on August the 8th, August the 11th, August the 8th, month of the 8th month of the year, 11th day, you'll want to go over there to reddit.com/r/FM4 for those points standings, at least the update thereof. And then once we head into week number 5, when I return on August the 18th, then we will see where everybody stands here live on the stream. Let me go ahead and bring into the driver spotlight. He was in there, I think, after qualifying for Suzuka and then decided to hop back into the race lobby. We've got Sprzaus finishing in 15th position between Kuda and Slow Motion Fire. What do you make of your finish there tonight? Oh, let me try it again. Sprzaus, can you hear me? Nope. Keeps jumping out. So maybe we won't get Sprzaus after all. Finishing in 15th position after a, what was that, 11, 12, 13, 14, 14th place finish out at Long Beach. So right there in the neck of the woods of 15th position. I'm going to go ahead and throw Sprzaus back into the race lobby and see if we don't have anybody else to join here in our driver's spotlight. And actually, I can't move Sprzaus. So I can't, with Sprzaus, when I move him in, he jumps out. And then when he's in the queue for interview, that prevents anybody else from getting in there. So I don't know. We may not have anybody in our driver's spotlight, but McQueen picks up the second win here this evening after Long Beach and does so again at Suzuka West. Udakan finishes 2nd for the second time this evening. Blackout, SVR Blackout finishes. The top 5 actually are a complete carbon copy from race 1 of the night to race number 2. McQueen, Udakan, Blackout, Audrex, Craytrim. Then it's Mortismo picking up 6th position here out at Suzuka, followed by Fear, Slipstream, Unku, Joe Beardy. Joe Beardy also finishing 10th there out at Long Beach. Jacob TBOED in 11th position. AP1 Raccoon for 12th. Born as Ghost in 13th. Then Kuda, Sprzaus, Slow Motion Fire, Fox, Jason D, Wolf, and Beer. That's the top 18 of the 18 drivers who finished in what was unfortunately an event that DOR Carryout just could not keep connected to here tonight. So week 3 will be Carryout's drop week. We'll see what that does to his overall point standing coming out of week number 3. And then, of course, depending on how things go in week 4, we'll see if he's in the running or in the mix for the championship, or at least in the top 8, top 10 come week 5. Let's see. I don't see anybody else in the driver's spotlight, so we might just end here. I'm actually going to go and kind of wind down for the evening. It's been a crazy day for me work-wise, and then we had some great racing here tonight. I'm going to go ahead and wind down, maybe check out some of the other broadcasts in the racing genre here on Twitch. Again, a reminder, we will not be live a week from tonight, August 11th, for week number 4 action, as I have another event that I will be attending. So No week 4 coverage here on Virtual Auto Sports. We may have somebody else. We may have somebody else in the FM4 community who's going to be broadcasting their perspective. So just look in the Forza Motorsport 7 directory a week from tonight, and who knows, you may be able to see how at least the races go there in week number 4. And then, like I said, we will be back for week number 5, 2 weeks from tonight, August 18th, for the conclusion out at the Dubai City Circuit. Should be an interesting little finale, heading out to the fictional Dubai track. So don't miss it. I bet you it'll be an interesting conclusion. And you can follow me on Twitter as I kind of hype that up because I won't be broadcasting week number 4. I will be keeping an eye on what the standings look like heading into week number 5. And so if you follow me on Twitter, maybe you don't want to go digging up the point standings over on the subreddit for FM4, but you can more easily keep tabs on what's going on over at VRTL Autosports on Twitter. That's my handle there. And I'll kind of be painting the picture of what we can expect for week number 5 as it nears. Will it be AMS Storm and Udacan duking it out? Mano y mano, AMS versus AMS for the Season 35 championship? Or will McQueen, now with the newfound glory here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, his first season with the FM4 crew, picking up the 2 wins tonight, will McQueen decide that RZM is going to have representation with an FM4 championship? We'll see. And then, of course, don't rule out Blackout. Fear the Fun, although Fear dropped back a couple of spots due to the debut here of McQueen and Blackout in Season 35. Fear the Fun could turn things around. Who knows? DUR Carryout, we'll see how he bounces back from the double, not goose egg, but it'll be a 3-pointer for both race 5 and 6 after the DNFs. And then Slipstream, who didn't have such a great run here tonight, will he be able to hold on to the top, not the top spot, but 8th position on our overall leaderboard, that far left column? Will he be able to hold off Wolf? Because Wolf did not have a good run here tonight. Audrex, actually, of all the drivers not named Udacan or McQueen, Audrex, I think, has gained some ground on the leaderboard. Should move over to the left-hand side on our overall leaderboard. Then you got Born as Ghost, Mortismo, Jacob T. Bode, or B-O-E-D, Unku, Soul Motion Fire, who did not have a great run here tonight after a disconnect at Long Beach, Chaos Fox, Corvin. We'll see. Shuffling the deck here in FM4 as they factor in the drop week. If you all get any more racing action in the virtual world, or maybe you're doing some racing in the real world, who knows? Keep it fun, keep it safe, keep it clean. Until August 18th, y'all take care, stay happy, stay healthy. We'll see you next time here on Virtual Auto Sports. Take care. Adios. Have a great rest of the week. Bye.